get aggressive because inflation is not simply going to disappear. The roots of this inflation really go back to the start of the pandemic. Even before that, the Fed really pumped up the money supply remarkably, especially in the early months of the pandemic. It wanted to avoid any kind of financial crisis. It succeeded in doing that, but it definitely pushed out a lot of inflation. And when you combine the Fed's actions with the very large budget deficits that the United States and Europe ran to overcome the quite large shocks of the first 2 years of the pandemic, we built in a lot of inflation. Then a war, sanctions, disruptions of supply chains, global geopolitical tensions. This is not going away anytime soon, in my view.
When you say anytime soon, could you lay out the timeline here? Because there is that debate that sooner or later inflation would cool off in response to the policy action, and also, not to forget, fiscal action in terms of the Inflation Reduction Act by the government.
Well, that's right. But what I mean by anytime soon, I mean before more aggressive action by the central banks and especially the Fed. I don't think a very soft touch, a light touch of just a very, very mild increases of interest rates will put a stop to what is going to be an ongoing inflationary pressure, ending the war in Ukraine with negotiations rather than this war of attrition that right now, by the way that NATO talks about it, is kind of open-ended and endless, would really help a lot. Some good news on the pandemic rather than one variant after another would help a lot. Easing the geopolitical tensions between the United States and China would help a lot. Unfortunately, none of those is on the cards right now exactly. We keep stoking the supply side shocks with war, with sanctions, with the geopolitical tensions, and at the same time, the underlying demand side, which came from that bulge of liquidity, doesn't go away anytime soon.